Cloud computing is a branch of computing concerned with computational service and capability provided anytime, anywhere, to anyone by means of cloud infrastructure. This fast-growing field is of interest to many technical and non-technical persons due to its business and financial benefit. But before diving deep into application and development of cloud, we must need to understand the various cloud providers in the industry and have a clear picture of the service provided by them. In this course, we are going to look into some of the leaders in cloud service provisioning to help understand the current market scenario. If you are an aspiring cloud architect, developer, or administrator, hold tight as we dive into this course. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new update or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video for any query or suggestions and I will respond to your comments.
Alright guys, welcome to this session. This session is a very important one because here we're going to talk about various cloud computing providers out there. Now, as we have talked about it in the previous modules, we've come across many names such as Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and even IBM Cloud and all of that, right? We've just spoken about it, but I definitely think that it adds a lot of value for your structured learning process if you guys know these providers thoroughly, right? So we have just that. We are going to take a look at the agenda for this session. Now, let us start out, by taking a quick introduction to understand what, these cloud computing providers are and who they are, how much of market share do they hold, how big of a company they are and all of that. Now, after that, we're going to take a look at some key features of these top providers. These are sort of the reasons which make them really popular, right? Now, whenever we think about cloud computing, the 3 or 4 names that always comes up, AWS, Azure, GCP, IBM, there is a reason that, in a domain that is worth $400 billion and it is aimed and seemed up to go up to, somewhere around $800 billion, in the next couple of years, I think it adds a lot of value to understand why there are always 3 names or 4 names that comes up in such a huge domain, right? Perfect. After we understand all the key features and the reasons that make this cloud computing platforms what they are, we're going to take a look at all the popular clients of these top providers based on the amount that they actually spend. Now, when you usually say top providers or popular clients and all of that, it is very hard to put a judgmental factor on it and say, hey, here is why these companies are popular and here is why they prefer AWS, right? But a really good way to go about it is to use data and to back up everything that we're going to say, right? We're going to say, hey, so LinkedIn is a really popular client of AWS because they spend so much so and so money on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis or whatever. So we're going to take that approach in point number 3, and in point number 4 we'll have a quick, again, a numerical comparison between all the services that these guys provide, who's doing what are the number of services that are in the market right now, what's in demand. There's a lot of numerical data that we're going to use for a straight up comparison between AWS, Azure and GCP, right? Okay guys, so I hope the agenda that we're going to cover in this session is clear to everyone and we can go on to begin this session. So I hope you guys are as excited as me for this particular session. So let's get started with it, guys. We'll begin with the introduction to cloud providers. Alright, now to make things clear, I think it should come as no surprise to you that the cloud providers that you see on your screen right now are in fact the most popular ones out there, right? In fact, there are many providers out there. When you think about it, this entire market is not just governed by these 4 or 5 people that you see on your screen right now. It is just that these guys are doing things in such a right way, or these guys are catering exactly to the requirement of the industry in a way where everyone just wants to use them, right? Now, when you think about companies who are looking to move to the cloud, the first thing they'll want to see is how easy is it for them to get there. The second thing is how much is it going to cost them. The third thing is the cloud computing platform a new one? Is it reliable? Can you trust them with your data, right? All of these points we have already checked out in the previous modules. But at the end of the day, when you think about all of these points, right, the 5 or 10 important points which which add value to the providers themselves, I think it should come as no surprise that these guys are here, right? Because again, there's trillions of dollars worth of companies that you see on your screen right now, be it Amazon, be it Microsoft, be it Google, be it IBM, DigitalOcean, all of these guys, right? Now, usually DigitalOcean and IBM Cloud are, they sometimes do take the backseat when people are talking about it. You always hear people talk about AWS, Azure or GCP and a little less about DigitalOcean and IBM. In fact, DigitalOcean is actually breaking through the trend now. It's breaking through the chart. It's becoming more popular than ever before, right? So we're seeing these new companies grow up and come to the same scale as the three big boys that you see on your screen, right? Perfect, guys. Now you understand that there's many providers out there. Let's quickly take a look at each one of them. Now, if we have to talk about Amazon Web Services, or AWS as it's called, let me tell you a little bit about AWS first. I think when someone thinks about Amazon, they do think about a good amount of trust, right? Now, I have shopped a lot on Amazon. I'm sure if you're watching this, you might have shopped a lot on Amazon as well. So once you're shopping with them, you're giving them your money even before they deliver a product to you, right? So it's not a company where they take your money and they don't give you the product, something like that, right? So it is trust that you're giving their money to them and they're they're giving you what they're promised, right? So this is a monetary transaction. Now, when you think about a data transaction, the same level of trust actually holds, in fact, even more, right? Now, if you give Amazon $100 and they're supposed to give you something back, a product worth $100, but if they don't, well, it is a monetary loss. But then if you give them certain data which is confidential, which is used to run your multi-million-dollar business, and if you don't trust them, and if there's a chance, and I'm not saying that they will misuse it, but if you give it to a company who might go on to misuse it, think about the effects it'll have on your company, right? Every company has its own secrets, its own ways of working, its own trade secrets, which it doesn't want the world to know. Well, at the end of the day, again, you have to think about all of these things, right? Perfect. And of course, coming back to the point, I think AWS is very popular because the world trusts Amazon, right? Perfect. Now, these guys, the cloud team actually in the world of Amazon came up with this wonderful product called as Amazon Web Services way back in the year 2004. It was announced in the year 2004. People were very excited for it. And in the year 2006 was when it was actually launched and it said, hey, we are here to provide the cloud computing platform. But then if you look at the trends of cloud computing, I think it was until 2010 or 12 that AWS or Azure didn't really take off as quickly as people thought it would. But then now it's skyrocketing beyond control, right? So at the end of the day, from then onwards, from 2006 to today, Amazon Web Services is powering, guess what, hundreds of thousands of companies out there. Now, each of these companies, be it small, be it medium companies, or be it large scale companies, generate some amount of revenue, right? So at the end of the day, if they're giving a good chunk of money, if 100,000 businesses are giving their money to Amazon Web Services, I think it shows that that these guys are good enough to handle anything that you would throw at them. Now, I already told you that the cloud market is worth somewhere around $400 billion today, right? But when you think about the market share, when you think about who holds the majority share, right? Who gets the most customers, who makes the most money in this industry, I think it's AWS, because they hold a 35% market share, in an industry that is worth $400 billion. Now, guys, you quickly open up your calculator, just type 400 into 0.35. You will get the amount in billions, which shows you how much they are worth, right? It should be somewhere around $150 billion. And how amazing is that, right? And it's not just that. When you think about experts, when you think about practitioners, when you think about people who have been in the cloud computing industry for a really long time, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, back when, the cloud computing industry itself was at its infancy, right? So when you ask them, hey, what cloud computing domain would you prefer? The majority of them said, hey, we understand that there's a lot of guys right now, AWS, Azure, GCP and all of them, but we do prefer AWS for so and so and so reasons, right? Now, when you have experts experts say, these guys are the ones who made cloud computing industry the way we see today. And if they attest to, the goodness, the amount of services, the professionalism shown by AWS, and of course, the very powerful services provided by them, I think definitely we can take their word for it, right? So this is something that you guys should understand. But then coming to a point where, you have to understand why AWS has become so popular these days, right? Because at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to trust, guys. I'll be very honest with you. We've discussed this in the previous modules, and I think you know where I'm coming from on this particular point. As I just mentioned, if you have a lot of data, be it confidential data, non-confidential data, it can be a simple photo, right? A simple photo of you is a personal thing for you. You do not want someone else to see it. You do not want someone to misuse it or whatever it is. Even a simple transaction of you clicking a picture of yourself on a vacation or something and uploading it to the Google Cloud, you have to make sure that it remains safe and only you are authorized to access that, right? So when hundreds of thousands of companies pour in their trust to a company, I don't think there should be any other big reason apart from this, right? So that's why I thought it'll add value to show you guys that this has to be the number one reason that AWS is popular. When you look at technical side of things, yes, we're going to take a look at the next point, which is going to add so much value for that. On the tech side of things, if I'm being very honest with you, when someone thinks about the cloud computing platform, the first thing that's going to come into their head is usually photo backups. The second thing that is going to come into their head is probably a transaction over the internet, maybe like email, or something like that, right? But at the end of the day, cloud computing platforms are so much powerful today that they can cater to any sort of workload that you throw at them. Be it game development. Now, for all you gamers out there, I am pretty sure you guys know the amount of resources it takes to first of all run a game and the immense amount of resources it takes to build a game and create a game, right? So in the field of game development as well, AWS is extremely popular there. And then when we're talking about data processing, when the world generates terabytes worth of data by the time I do this, right? So there's so much data that was generated right there. It could fill up my hard disk 10 times and probably fill up 10 other 10 terabyte hard disks 10 times over just by the second I did that. That is how much of data that the world is generating, every single minute of the world. Now at the on the onset of that, it becomes very important for you guys to understand that when you're talking about data processing, it's not just the large amount of data that needs to be processed, it is also the computing power that is needed to process this large amount of data, right? First of all, you're going to need storage. Second of all, you're going to need compute methodologies to help you to do the actual processing, to do the actual analysis. There again, AWS is pretty popular there, and no matter how much you throw at it, you will never, bottom out with AWS, right? There is always headroom there. There is always some space for more, and you can just add more and more. I don't think there is a company in the world who have ever tested AWS to its complete limit, to its max, and said, hey, we have this amount of data, we have this amount of processing, and we're going to take up the entire bandwidth of the platform that you're going to provide. I don't think so that any company have done that, and I don't think there can be a company who can do that, because the amount of services, the amount of servers, the amount of compute power that AWS hold in today's world is the reason why they are the most popular guys, in the industry, right? Perfect. And of course, the same reasons that I said spill over to the next industry as well in the case of data warehousing. Data warehousing also requires, a lot of people working on it, first of all. Secondly, again, you're going to have experts who are, trying to use data warehousing on the AWS platform as well, which again, at the end of the day, shows why AWS is considered, for this particular domain. Again, it's considered to be very powerful. At the same time, the other thing that we haven't talked about until now is efficiency, right? How efficient is AWS at handling your data? How quickly can they process it? And if you upload something to AWS for data processing, how long are they taking to give you back the result that you're expecting, right? Now, that is another thing which is very popular in the field of data warehousing. Now, I think the next point that we're going to discuss, is the reason that makes AWS so popular is that with AWS, the thing is there are so many services, there are so many things that makes your life easy as a cloud developer, right? Now, if you're a person who's an application developer, using AWS, at the end of the day, your job is mainly going to be focusing on your writing your actual code, creating your application, and making sure it deploys easily on the cloud. Right, so you will not be breaking your head about how best should you look at other things like compilers, interpreters. First of all, to get your code to run, you will not have to break your head to think about 100 different things. The time that you would have spent there is now saved, and you can use the same time to build the logic, to build a better application, to look at the various development methodologies, to look at the various deployment methods, and you will probably spend more time, to be very honest with you, about researching how best you can use your application, right? You know that you have your application, you know it is good, and now you want to find the most popular way of how you guys can go on to put it out for the world to use. Right now, you will actually sit, I've had a lot of friends in the industry tell me this as well. So they'll be like, Anirudh, we were taking a look at this particular app, we were taking a look at this deployment methodology, and we were confused about what to use, because every offering at the end of the day is really good, but we have to be very careful about what we use, because that is what is going to remain as the foundation for the product going ahead for that company as well. So there's so many things that goes into this particular point as well. Perfect. I think the next point is something that I am a huge fan of. It's the AWS Mobile Hub. Now, AWS Mobile Hub is an application that's available both on the Android Play Store and of course on the Apple App Store as well. So if you guys use Android and iOS or multiple other operating systems, you guys have access to this. With your mobile phone, I think these days it's a common trend, right? Having more power, doing a million things that you would do on your laptop specifically that you wouldn't do on your phone, is the trend that is changing today. Now, there was a time when you couldn't click pictures on your phone, and now look at where we are. You can do a million things. Do you want to write Python code? You can do that. Do you want to run your entire company, which is on the AWS platform, using your mobile phone? You can do that as well, right? Now, that's the advantage. You can monitor so many different services. You can check what's happening. You can quickly change things around. There's a lot of things that we can go on to discuss about the AWS Mobile Hub itself. But then, for you guys, the most important thing right now is for you to understand that there is a feature such as this, and the world is very keen on it, and they do have millions of people going on to use this application for that purpose as well, right guys? Perfect. Now, once you understand mobile access, the next important point we have to talk about is a little deeper into what they offer in terms of database services. Now, cloud computing is a domain where usually when a client comes in, they're very particular about the type of database that they want, or how they want their data to be stored, what is the amount of redundancy, what is their application, what is their dependencies on the data. There's so many things that they will say, hey, this is what I want, and I will not move away from what I want. In that particular case, if you have 10 people coming and saying, I want a relational database, I want to go on to use something like SQL, MySQL server or something like that, but then someone else comes in and say, hey, no, I want MongoDB. I'm not going to use anything else for my application apart from MongoDB. You have to have the capability to provide for both of them, right? That is the train of thought that has led AWS to give us this kind of an amazing versatility in terms of databases, right? Do you want to use relational databases? Of course you can. Non-relational databases? Yes. Data warehousing solutions? Again, absolutely yes. In-memory storages? Yes. Graph databases? Yes. So regardless of where you are, regardless of what industry you come from or what your application is, you can be rest assured that in the scenario or in the usage of databases, at least AWS has something for you guys in a way where you would not be surprised to say, hey, oh no, I did not have this particular database on AWS, so I had to migrate to something else, or I had to move my data into another type of database, something like that. You will never come to a situation like that in most of the cases because AWS does provide so many things, right? Perfect. The next thing that we have to talk about is their storage facilities, right? At the end of the day, Amazon is very, very well known for their storage services, be it Amazon S3, be it Amazon EBS, be it Glacier, whatever it is, right? With EBS, you usually are very keen on block level storages, BS stands for block storage as well. At the end of the day, there is so many things that, each of these storage facilities can do. If you look at Amazon S3, right? When you say S3, it stands for S, S and S. That's why it says S3. It's also like S cube, something like that. So at the end of the day, S3 actually stands for simple storage service. It's a very popular one whenever, usually the files which are accessed by the user, like videos or something like that, they usually are sitting on, Amazon's S3 as well. And when you look at Glacier, Glacier is a very popular storage facility, usually for backups. Be it automatic backups, be it manual backups, we don't call it backups all the time. We'll just say, long-term storage. So maybe you store something here that you probably want 1 year from now. And if something crashes to your main system, there's going to be that entity there which is sitting there for a while, and we call it what? A backup, right? So that's what Glacier is very popular for as well, So guys, we just took a look at databases, we just took a look at the storage facilities, but then the other thing which is most popular, which I absolutely love, is the case of security, right? When you take a look at what AWS does in the case of security, they do provide amazing stuff. Protocol level security, done. Do you want port level access? That is also there. And they have the complete capability and a very, very strong firewall which can filter out any incoming and outgoing traffic in a thorough fashion. Now, when this is the particular case, when things are being tracked to its most elemental state, I think that it becomes very difficult for people, to have unauthorized access, to break into the servers, to hack into the network, something like that, right? So when people, again, I think this point directly relates to trust, don't you think? Because if they are being very secure, you will eventually trust them more with your data, right? Perfect. The next point that we are going to have to discuss is the AWS Marketplace. Now, AWS Marketplace took off like a rocket ship. There was absolutely no holding it back. It launched in the year 2012, and it's like this online store where you would go and, buy softwares which are ready to use. You would integrate it with your own application. You would deploy it using 1 or 2 clicks. And, the best part is when you go on to buy a software on Marketplace, or, go on to use a service there, the best part is you would still use this service called pay as you go, right? So just for what you use is exactly what you would pay. It's not like you're using a software maybe, to a certain extent, but you have to pay the entire amount to this. Again, when we're talking about this, it is usually in the $100,000 or something like that for a very big multinational corporation, right? So it is something which is helping even the newcomers, even the entrepreneurs who are launching on AWS, be it the mid-tier companies or of course the multinational corporations who make really good use of AWS Marketplace as well. So perfect, guys. This was everything there is to know to get quickly started about AWS. We checked out the introduction, we checked out the key features, we understood why it's popular. But then now I think it is very, very important for us to check out the next big competitor in line, who's Microsoft Azure, right? Microsoft, I think, is a name that is tattooed in the world of information technology, because at the end of the day, I am using an operating system that is powered by Microsoft, right? So they are the ones who created the Windows that I'm sitting and using right now. And similarly, I think hundreds of thousands of people across the globe, even for a person who is not initiated into the world of IT, will know Microsoft in one way or another. That's the best marketing for a company out there, right? Now that would definitely help in an industry worth $400 billion, right? When AWS came out, actually Azure was the second company ever to say, hey, even, we are going to launch our own platform, our own cloud computing platform, just like AWS. And these guys launched it in the year 2010. Since Microsoft was a brand which was already very well established by Bill Gates with respect to the operating system industry and so on, they were already established. They really didn't have to work with customers not having to trust them. They really didn't have any issues to get started with as well. So that is the reason why they grew up to popularity really, really quick, and now they stand head to head, neck to neck with AWS as well. The third important point that you guys have to know about Microsoft Azure is that these guys hold the second biggest market share in the industry. We know that AWS holds 35%, but the second number, I think it's 8%, is of the $400 billion industry is held by Microsoft Azure, right? When you talk to experts on this particular domain, when you ask them about their opinion of Microsoft Azure, every time I've asked about 10 people saying, hey, what's your view on Microsoft Azure? 7 or 8 of them have always come back to me and say, hey, you know what? When you're thinking about the world of DevOps, just think Microsoft Azure. When you're thinking about deploying machine learning solutions, think Microsoft Azure. When you think about IoT, Internet of Things, think Microsoft Azure. Right now, these guys are the pioneers. These guys are the pundits in their own domain, and when they come and say, hey, you know what, if it's your requirement is that, you should just check this out, and of course probably check your other options as well, but you should champion this because these guys are doing it really well. I think it adds a lot of value in this particular domain as well, right? Perfect. Now coming to the section where we'll quickly discuss why Azure has become so popular. I think the first reason for me, for any entrepreneur, for a mid-tier company, for a big company out there right now, is the amount that they have to spend on these platforms. Right now, all of these guys, AWS, GCP, Azure, they give you a free tier account where you can do a little bit of things, explore around. But at the end of the day, if you really have to run your company out there, you do have to pay them for all the services that you use. Now, if there's only one guy, if there's only monopoly here, right? If it's like a monarchy, if one guy gets to set the price, he or she can just set whatever price they want if there's no one to check them on it, right? But then this is where Azure does this really wonderful thing, is they help AWS, they help the world keep the price in check. If AWS increases its price in something, Azure decreases the price for the same services. So people run around and come to Azure, and AWS start losing their customers for that as well. So AWS, again, what are they supposed to do to have their customers back? They're supposed to bring the prices down, right? So in a way, in a really small way, but which has a big impact on us, Azure is helping the market control the prices as well. Because if it's like just one company, as I just mentioned, they can set any price that they want, and if the world has to have a cloud computing platform to use, well, they will have to pay up the big amount, right? So I think I am really a huge fan of this with respect to Azure, is because whenever someone increases a price out of something, these guys are the first ones to drop the price and say, hey, we are doing it cheaper, come join with us or something like that. That again brings a lot of businesses. Trust me, it brings millions of dollars worth of business, right? The second thing that we have to talk about is, of course, the number of services. At the end of the day, at the time of the creation of this particular video, there's 100 plus, there's literally over 100 services that Azure provide, be it in the field of compute services, be it in networking, be it in storage, be it in any sort of administration, be it in cloud management, whatever it is. So these guys are doing so many things that, if you have a problem and you think that there is a separate domain for a solution, my recommendation to you is to just see if that solution itself is implemented on the cloud first. If it is done so, start learning the cloud path of it as well, because at the end of it, you'll become an expert in the domain that you're looking at, and also cloud computing. Now, for example, if you want to become a machine learning engineer and you also want to understand how you can deploy it on the cloud, start learning services such as Azure ML, right? Now, here there is two benefits. So one, you will get to learn everything there is to know about machine learning, of course. The next thing is you will get to know about development and deployment on the Azure platform itself. So what happens when you add 1 plus 1? At the end of the day, you are being open, you are, you understand two different things instead of just one, right? So that is a way more knowledge that is that you can convert into a monetary benefit, because people are looking for experts in Azure ML, and you can get a lot more salary than a person who's just an ML engineer. Now, being an ML engineer is also a very high paying job, but if you know machine learning and Azure as well, just for those skills, you'll be paid higher, and that's my point here, guys. Perfect. So Microsoft have been, around the customer space for a really long time, right? Around 3 decades, 30, 35, 40 years, they have been in this industry. So they know that even if they create an amazing product, but if they have provide bad service to this particular product, at the end of the day, it will not bring customers, right? Even though your product is the best in the world, if something goes wrong, if you're not there to support it, people will not want your thing. This is like just like the warranty thing that we look out for when we buy a mobile phone or an electronic item, right? So since these guys have been doing it for a really long time, they know how to handle customers, they know how to handle these problems, they have the infrastructure set up ready to support customers when their platform launched, and again, that is what made them really popular, right? The next point is a little technical. We're going to talk about how companies have the capability to auto scale to their requirements, right? This is a fantastic concept. Today you're catering to 10 people, tomorrow you have 1,000 people walk in. If you have an in-house server, there is a good chance your server will crash, right? Sometimes if you have seen these flash sales or something that happen, there is usually an immense amount of traffic because there is a new phone launching or something. Thousands if not millions of people will come to these popular sites to order them, and as soon as the website sees so many traffic, the servers in the backend will not able to handle so many requests. So what do you think it does? It crashes because it cannot handle all of them at the same time. But with Azure, the more customers you bring in, the better it can handle it. If you're bringing in 1,000 customers, it is going to scale up its services. It is going to allocate more resources for you in a way where it says, hey, okay, now I've given you 1,000, why don't you try bringing 10,000 people? When you bring 10,000 people, it is going to scale it up and say, hey, okay, so this is good, why don't you bring 10 lakh people, right? So you are the limit here. Whenever someone tells me that there's only so much that AWS or Azure can do, I would say the opposite thing. I am like, there is only so much that you would do to push their platform to the limit, because these guys are giants. They have servers sitting on every single part of the globe today, and to fill all of them up is not an easy task, right? So I would say to a virtually unlimited level, these guys are providing you these auto scaling capabilities. So what is your potential? What is your maximum push that you can do is what you should be thinking at, rather than looking at the other side of the bridge to think about how where the limit stands with respect to Azure, right? Perfect. The next point that we're going to talk about, some people definitely are going to be interested. When we talk about blockchain, the first thing that's going to come into your mind is probably cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and all of that, right? Now, Azure is so popular here because they are the first company, the cloud computing company, to say, hey, you know what, we will provide blockchain as a service. Now, blockchain as a service is a talk of its own. We can have a half an hour, 1 hour talk to show about, why Azure's BaaS service, or it's also called as blockchain as a service, is so popular. But then, let's have this discussion in the next couple of modules. But for now, you need to know that these guys are the first ones in the world to go on to provide blockchain as a service. Right, perfect. The next reason of why Azure is considered to be so popular, in my opinion, is that they give you the seamless integration between, your own servers that are sitting on premise and with the cloud instances that you would have created, right? Now, when we say a cloud instance, you're basically using the compute power and the storage of a virtual server that is allocated to you. So how do you make that virtual server talk to the actual server that is probably sitting in your office server room, right? So that integration is very seamless in a way where you wouldn't have to spend hundreds of man hours. You wouldn't have to hire probably 100 different experts to go on to, bridge that gap that exists between your server and theirs. So this excellent model of how easy it is to engage this hybrid platform where you have your own servers and you also get to talk to the cloud instances that are present there. I think this is the reason why hundreds of thousands of companies also prefer Azure, right? So perfect, guys. Again, we checked out everything there is to know to quickly get started with Microsoft Azure. We checked out all the reasons why they are popular, and I think it's high time we talk about the newest boy in town, which is Google Cloud Platform, right? Now, I said they are the newest boys in town, even though they launched 2 years earlier than Microsoft Azure. Now, I told you Azure launched in 2010, GCP came out in 2008, but when you look at popularity, when you look at trends, when you look at the actual usage that went into the platform, these guys, in terms of growth, they were a little slow because first of all, these guys are brand new. Google is not a new brand to you, I'm sure, but Google Cloud Platform, to provide these kind of services itself, they were slightly new in this particular domain. to scale up to already existing giants is not an easy thing, right? Now, all of you all who are watching it, in case if you guys want to become entrepreneurs, you want to start your own company, think about Facebook, Google, Twitter being your direct competitor. In that particular case, for you to grow as big as them, it's not an easy task, right? Similar what happened to Google Cloud Platform as well. AWS and Azure were already there, who had the majority of the industry. Everyone trusted them. Everyone started using them. So there weren't a lot of people, first of all, to start using the Google Cloud Platform, because the services that was provided here were in number a little less, and that when someone is accustomed to one particular cloud platform, I'll tell you this from my personal experience, usually they will not want to switch. If you're looking to migrate from AWS to Azure, or if you're looking to like cancel all your subscriptions and all of that, AWS will do everything in their power, and of course all of this is legal and everything, to make sure that you stay on their platform and not leave. They're going to provide you services, they're going to provide you discounts, they're going to do so many things to make sure you don't jump ship and go to someone else. That's not a bad thing, that's actually a great thing. But at the end of the day, if you are a person like the experts at GCP who's looking for more customers, then from your point of view that doesn't look that great, right? So that is one of the reasons I think they slowed down, but then now they're catching up at a pace which is phenomenally fast, which I've never seen before. And the number of job openings, if you look at it on LinkedIn or Indeed.com for experts who are wanted on the Google Cloud Platform, you will realize every single point that I just told you all, right? Perfect. The second point, the most important one in discussion here, the point that I am a huge fan of personally, is that the data centers that Google run for their Google Cloud Platform are environmentally friendly, guys. They all run on 100% renewable energy sources, be it solar power, be it wind energy, be it hydrothermal, whatever it is. So this is telling us that, hey, we can have sustainable ways of running the world of information technology and not have to hurt our planet, right? Because the planet provides, it can be eternal if we take care of it. But then if you go on to misuse a lot of different things that Mother Earth provides, well, at the end of the day, there's going to come a time where the balance is lost and you cannot gain back the things which are once lost. Right now, there are so many animals or species that have become extinct when you think about it, right? They're lost forever. Now, at the end of the day, for me as a person who values all of these things, and similarly, we have hundreds of thousands of people who think like this as well. Now, you will look at a trend where people are buying electric vehicles because they don't like the amount of pollution an actual petroleum or a diesel car puts out. Now, even these guys have a thought saying, hey, they might be hurting the environment way more than they initially thought they would, and they are jumping ship, right? This happens even in millions of dollars worth of transactions. Even big companies who put them out, who market themselves as a company that says we are environmental friendly, but then they're running on servers which are not environmental friendly. I'm not saying that AWS is bad, I'm not saying Azure is bad, or that they're polluting the environment, all of those things. But at the end of the day, when you take a look at it, having this kind of a bragging right which says we are using servers which are environmentally friendly, something that's going to market itself for the days to come, right? That's important, guys. The third thing, as I already told you, was AWS has a ton of services. Azure has a ton of services. Guess what? In the next couple of years, even Google Cloud Platform is going to have a ton of services as well. The most popular applications of GCP, in my opinion, again, when I asked a couple of people, when I ran a poll, I asked why, people think Google Cloud Platform is popular, or what are they best known for. 8 out of 10 people always were willing to choose big data services. Now, the big data service that Google provides, and there's multiple things, BigQuery and a lot of other things. So these guys are known really, really well, in fact, better than AWS and Azure, to handle that kind of data in a seamless fashion. So that is one of the reasons why, when you take a look at the rapid establishment and the rapid growth, now they're playing the catch-up game in the world of cloud computing, but I have a personal feeling that somewhere down the line, it'll be the others who will play the catch-up game with GCP, right? Perfect, guys. Now to talk about the popularity of GCP really quick. The first point, again, has to be return on investment, right? What are you getting for the amount that you're spending? whenever we have championed all of these modules, whenever I say pay as you go, you're paying only for the minute, you're paying only for the hour that you're using the product and all of that, there is a slight catch here. When you go on to use AWS, and some of these services in AWS usually rounds it to the next hour. Now, what I mean by that is, if you use a platform for 3 hours 35 minutes or 3 hours 40 minutes, sometimes you're billed for 4 hours. It rounds up to the next hour of usage, right? Now you're paying for 20 minutes that you haven't used. But in the case of GCPs, these guys are very efficient in terms of pricing. If you've used it for 3 hours 32 minutes, you're probably billed for 3 hours 32 minutes or 3 hours 33 minutes. So 1 minute extra, it rounds out to the next minute, and that's the ceiling of it. You're not paying for the next 20 minutes as well. Now, in our discussion for a learner, this will seem like, okay, does it really make that big of a difference? Well, at the end of the day, think about it in the perspective of a company who would probably spend millions of dollars to keep their application running on the cloud, right? They would save thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with just this 20-minute adjustment or whatever it is. I gave you an example, but when you think about the enterprise level solution that GCP are offering in terms of rounding up to the next minute rather than the next hour, is again attracting a lot of clients to these guys, right? Perfect. Alright guys, checking out the next reason of why GCP has been so popular is that Google as a company themselves has such a strong footing that these guys are foundational to the world of networking. These guys are the only guys in the entire world to have the most amount of fastest connections underground, optic fiber networks which support up to 10 terabits per second of transfer. This is not just in one country, this is across the world. These guys hold the dominion there. They're ranking top in the industry. They have laid out cables under the ocean floor. So they, when they are saying, hey, you know what, we will give you the fastest data transfer speed in the entire world, do you really think that customers would not be interested there? Well, 10 terabits a second is like when you think about it, I am honestly surprised, because at the end of the day, it's really not something easy to provide when you have hundreds of thousands of customers who are looking for the same speed. Now, at the end of the day, Google say we can do it. They're doing it. And remember the point where I told you that as the other companies are going to start playing catch up, well, this is the first point for them to actually go on to start catching up with GCP. Perfect. Now, taking a look at the next point, I think it adds a lot of value to understand that in the world of data analytics as well as the world of big data, there's multiple services and innovative tools that these guys are providing, right? The first logo you see is of Google BigQuery. The second logo is is of another service called as Google Cloud Dataflow. Now, both Dataflow and BigQuery are so amazing that if you're a person who's learning big data, or if you're a person who's looking towards data analysis, and if you're doing it on Google Cloud Platform, these will be the first services that you will absolutely fall in love with. That is something, again, I've heard from a lot of people. It is true. I've tried it myself. These are amazingly intuitive services to use. Their user interface is actually good. It is getting way better than what it was. And I think it's Google at the end of the day. Everyone loves the ecosystem, the user interface, the user experience which Google provides for us, right? Perfect. The next point that we have to discuss, again, rounding back to our first point, is what is the amount of return that you're going to get on your investment, ROI, as we call it, right? So when you give your money out to GCP, what is the amount of, return that you're getting there, right? In that particular case, when you take a look at one particular type of service that GCP, AWS, and Azure provide, the compute engine or the compute services, their GCP's pricing is so amazing that this is almost somewhere around 50% cheaper than what AWS and Azure are providing, to a good extent. Now, in some cases, this definitely is true. And at the end of the day, if it's 50% cheaper, why would you want to spend 50% more, when you could be spending it less, right? When you think as a company, this is the first thing that you would think about doing as well. And in that particular case, I think catch-up game is on for AWS and Azure in terms of pricing as well. The next thing is, data security, something we really have to talk about. And with Google, they have been in the world of networking. They've been on the internet for 20-25 years right now, and these guys have known how to integrate security into their products for all these years. And since their entire product line requires so much of data security, requires so much of authentications, basically at the end of the day, my point here is that when they have been in an industry where they've been doing this for a really long time, they have the experience to go on to become the professionals in it, right? So in terms of data security trust, I think there's no better way to go other than GCP. Right? Perfect, guys. So again, we checked out the quick introduction to GCP. You guys know what it is, when it is launched, why it is popular. We discussed a lot of these points similar to AWS and Azure as well. Now we are coming to an important part where we are going to discuss all the popular clients that these guys have, right? First of all, if you're thinking about AWS, as I mentioned, thousands and thousands of companies go on to make use of AWS, and these guys try to actually push the platform to its limits. Now, you've seen so many people, so many companies who use AWS in a way where they are actually in a position of, they say, hey AWS, we're going to push you with everything we've got, and we hope you can hold it at your end. Be it individuals, be it small companies or big companies alike. If you have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of businesses doing this day in and day out, AWS has to be they have to be fundamentally strong to handle all of these things, and of course they are. But then, guys, I think the most important way that we can numerically assess the popular clients is not just say, hey, Facebook is the most popular client of AWS. Well, it wouldn't make sense. Why is Facebook the most popular client of AWS, right? That is the reason I thought that it had a lot of value to actually show you guys who the top spenders are on AWS. So Netflix is paying $20 million monthly, in American dollars, of course, to AWS because they're using all of their services. Similarly, Twitch is again a popular streaming platform. It is mostly known in the world of gamers. I myself stream on Twitch whenever I play on my PlayStation. So there as well, Twitch people, to host maybe all of their streamers, they are using compute services on AWS. They're providing $16 million monthly. LinkedIn are paying AWS $14 million monthly. Facebook are paying $12 million. BBC, the British broadcasting service, the channel, these guys are also providing $10 million. And this amount that you see is not an amount that these guys are paying to AWS on a yearly basis. This is a monthly basis. So this is the amount of money AWS are making for the services that these guys are providing, right? Now, if you're talking about Azure, similarly, even with Azure, let's look at the top spenders. The first big guy who's spending a lot of money, I think, is Verizon, right? Verizon, or Verizon as it's called, is again a very big network provider in the continental United States. Now, even these guys, there's many providers out there. I think Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, all these guys are big there. So these guys, put a bill get a bill of somewhere around $80 million a month from AWS. Then you have MSI Computers. MSI is this beautiful, I think, laptop manufacturers who's very well known in the gaming industry. Then you have LG Electronics, right? So LG is a very big name in home appliances. Then you have Adobe, of course, we all know. Then you have Intel. And if you again look at it, right? So these guys are spending millions and millions of amount to get solutions from Microsoft Azure as well. But the fun part that I want to talk about is in GCP as well. You saw that these companies, right? Twitch, Facebook, and LinkedIn, they were also using AWS, but these guys also use Google Cloud Platform, and they are billing $65 million, $42 million, $41 million. So this is what is happening, this paradigm shift. I'm not saying that they're leaving AWS to come to GCP. They're using the best of both. AWS is providing certain services which they absolutely require. GCP is doing something way better than AWS that these guys are interested in. So that's the reason they say, you know what, why should we not have this guy do one thing, this platform do the other thing? So that's one of the reasons why many companies, it's not just these 5-6 people that you see on your screen right now. It's hundreds of companies who do this. They use multiple platforms to get multiple jobs at the hand done, right? So this is an important point that you guys have to know. And I hope when we took a look at these top spending, this was the best way. I could come up with telling you who these popular clients are, and you would of course know the popularity of it, right? Be it Facebook, LinkedIn, Yahoo, Twitch, and all of these platforms. And now guys, I think when we're talking about the quick comparison that I have in mind for you guys with AWS, GCP and Azure, now that you would have got a basic sense of it, I don't think I have to spend a lot of time to tell you the differences that exist between these. When we go on to check out these platforms individually on a hands-on level, you will come to know the differences that exist. But for now, to quickly take a look at the number of services that these guys are providing. Now all of this data is as of March 2021 guys. AWS is providing somewhere around 13 compute services, Azure is providing 9 compute services, while GCP is also providing 9 compute services. So in the terms of just the number of compute services that is being provided, I think AWS has the upper hand because they are providing more services, which means that they have more capability and they can cater to a wider audience base, right? Perfect. In the case of storage services as well, AWS leads because they do provide 7 storage services, Azure provides 6 and GCP provides 4 as well. Now I'm not saying that either of these are inefficient and all of that. That is out of the talk right now, but just with the number of services, right, the things that you could do with every single number. Now if AWS is providing one more service which would bring them millions of dollars of revenue each month, why do you think they wouldn't do it, right? That's the reason why these guys keep adding services and services. They know that the world wants it and they are there to provide it. But again, in the case of storage services as well, AWS is leading, right? Then when we talk about a really fun thing which I absolutely love is bringing 2 domains together. In this case, it's artificial intelligence or machine learning solutions, development, deployment of these solutions. Here again, AWS takes a slight edge with the number of services at least, right? AWS provides this really fantastic service called AWS SageMaker for working with machine learning solutions, right? So here they provide 12 AI ML solutions, that is AWS. Azure provides somewhere around 3 services, but then Azure ML is actually very well established, very popular amongst a lot of people. And then GCP in fact have beaten Azure to this particular service in this domain, and there's a good chance they might overtake AWS as well because they are getting very close to AWS with 7 services now. AWS provides 12, GCP provides 7, Azure provides 3. Right? Perfect. Next, when we talk about database services, there is no other comparison we have to champion about Azure here. Right now, Azure leads this particular service domain with 9 services. AWS provides only 7, while GCP provide only 5 services. Now again, we can talk about each of these services to greater extent, but for your learning path right now, I do believe that if you know these numbers, it is more than enough to go ahead. Right, guys? So this is database services. The next thing which is very important that you guys have to understand is server locations. AWS here is again a little bit more popular because they're catering to 24 geographic locations and they have 77 availability zones. Now, when you quickly go on to the AWS site to check about where they're available and all of that, you will be presented with a beautiful looking graph that will show you what are the regions that are catering for. Similarly, Azure, has their footprint in 65 plus regions across the globe, and GCP is showing immense amount of growth. In this particular case, they are present in 22 regions, and of course, they are looking at expanding rapidly from their existing 62 zones as well. So at the end of the day, when you're comparing Azure, AWS, and GCP, for me, the first thing, I am a guy who's driven by data, and for me, I think all of these data that I just showed you should give you an important idea about what the industry is requiring right now and what these guys are providing. Because see, if AWS comes up with one more service, that is going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs because people are required to be experts there to solve people's problems using that service, right? You have to be trained to use that service. So these creation of jobs, every time there is a new service that comes up, be it in GCP, Azure, or AWS, I am really happy because it creates hundreds if not thousands of jobs for that particular service as well, guys. So guys, with this, we have come to the end of this session. We took a lot of, introductions to all these different domains. We understood about AWS, we understood about Azure, GCP, we found out when they were launched, why they are popular, what are their most popular use cases, and we saw the most popular clients out there, and we also took a look at a quick comparison powered by data, powered by numerical digits of, why these guys have been popular as well, right? So with this session, session is my aim was to provide you guys with this fundamental knowledge that you have to have about these three big guys, because I'll be very honest with you, if you're a person who's looking for a job in this industry, there's a good chance when you start out it'll be either be in AWS, Azure or GCP. So I thought it'll add a lot of value to your learning that we check this out now. So guys, with that, we have come to the end of this session.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new update or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video for any query or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.